Have you ever noticed how most people try to change their lives in one dramatic moment? They wake up one morning and promise themselves that from now on everything will be different. They decide they will wake up earlier, eat healthier, exercise every day, read more books, and finally become the person they always imagined. For a few days, the excitement carries them forward, and it feels like this time things will really change. But slowly, something shifts and the motivation fades. Life becomes busy again, and the old routines quietly begin to return. Within a few weeks, everything feels almost the same as before. The same habits, the same patterns, and the same feeling of starting over again. Many people experience this cycle again and again. They try to make big changes. They feel hopeful for a while, and then the change slowly disappears. After a while, they begin to blame themselves. They start to believe they simply lack discipline or willpower. But what if the real problem is not you at all? What if the real problem is the way we think about change itself? This idea is at the heart of a fascinating book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. The book explores a simple but powerful truth about how our daily habits shape the direction of our lives. In this episode, we are going to explore the main ideas of this book together. Think of it as a thoughtful conversation about something meaningful that slowly changes the way we see everyday life. And if you enjoy these ideas, it is always worth reading the original book as well. The author explains the concepts in much greater depth and with many powerful examples. The central message of Atomic Habits is surprisingly simple. Tiny changes repeated consistently can lead to remarkable results. The word atomic here does not mean explosive. It means small, fundamental, and powerful at the same time. An atomic habit is a small behavior that may seem almost insignificant on its own. Yet when that behavior is repeated day after day, it begins to create real change. Most people believe that success comes from big dramatic actions. But James Clear suggests that the real power lies in small actions performed consistently. Imagine improving something in your life by just 1% every day. That improvement might feel invisible in the beginning. One small improvement today does not seem impressive, but when that improvement repeats every day for months or years, the results become extraordinary. The same idea works in the opposite direction as well. Small negative habits can quietly move life in the wrong direction. Eating unhealthy food occasionally may not seem important. Skipping exercise for a day may not feel serious. But when those choices repeat again and again, they slowly shape the direction of our future. Tiny actions become powerful forces over time. One of the most powerful lessons in this book is that success rarely happens overnight. Instead, it grows gradually through repeated behaviors. People often believe that life changes suddenly in one moment. In reality, most transformation happens slowly and quietly. A small improvement today and another tomorrow begin to compound over time. Eventually, those improvements create results that once seemed impossible. But if small habits are so powerful, why do people struggle to change them? The book suggests that many people focus on the wrong thing. When people want to change their lives, they usually focus on goals. They imagine the results they want to achieve. Someone may say they want to lose weight. Another person might say they want to write a book or start a business. Goals describe the future we want to reach. They give us direction and motivation, but goals alone do not change behavior. What truly changes our lives are the system we follow every day. A goal is the outcome you want. A system is the process you follow consistently. For example, the goal might be running a marathon. The system would be the daily habit of training. The goal might be writing a book. The system would be the routine of writing every day. Many people focus intensely on the goal while ignoring the system behind it. When motivation fades, the goal alone cannot carry them forward. James Clear suggests a deeper way of thinking about change. Instead of focusing only on results, we can focus on identity. This leads to one of the most powerful ideas in the entire book. Habits shape the way we see ourselves. Most people try to change their habits from the outside. They focus on what they want to achieve. They say things like, I want to run a marathon, or I want to write a book. These statements focus on the outcome. Identity-based change works differently. It focuses on the type of person you believe you are. Instead of saying, I want to run, you begin to think, I am someone who runs. Instead of saying, I want to write, you begin to think, I am a writer. Every small habit becomes a vote for the identity you want to build. Each action strengthens the belief about who you are. One workout does not instantly make someone an athlete, but every workout strengthens the identity of someone who trains. Writing one page does not make someone a famous author, but every page strengthens the identity of someone who writes. Over time, these small votes accumulate. Gradually, the identity becomes stronger and more real. When identity changes, habits become easier to maintain. Instead of forcing behavior, you act in alignment with who you believe you are. The book also explains how habits actually form. Most habits follow a simple cycle that repeats again and again. First, there is a cue that triggers the behavior. Then there is a craving that creates the motivation to act. Next comes the response, which is the habit itself. Finally, there is a reward that reinforces the behavior. This cycle repeats many times every day. understanding it helps us design better habits. James Clear describes four important principles that help shape habits. These principles explain how to make good habits easier and bad habits harder. One important principle is making habits obvious. When a cue is visible, the brain is more likely to notice it. For example, placing a book on your pillow might remind you to read at night. Leaving running shoes by the door might remind you to exercise. Another principle involves making habits attractive. When something feels appealing, we are naturally drawn to it. A third principle is making habits easy. The simpler a behavior is, the more likely we are to repeat it. The final principle involves making habits satisfying. When a behavior produces an immediate positive feeling, the brain remembers it. One of the most fascinating ideas in the book is how environment shapes behavior. Many people believe habits depend mainly on discipline, but our surroundings influence our behavior more than we often realize. The things we see around us quietly shape our actions. If healthy food is visible in the kitchen, people tend to eat healthier. If unhealthy food is easily accessible, people often eat more of it. This means that changing your environment can sometimes be more powerful than increasing motivation. Small adjustments to your surroundings can make good habits easier to perform. Another helpful technique described in the book is habit stacking. This method connects a new habit with one you already do automatically. For example, after making your morning coffee, you might read one page of a book. After brushing your teeth, you might take a moment to reflect quietly. Because the first habit already exists, it becomes a natural reminder for the new one. Over time, both habits become part of the same routine. The book also emphasizes the importance of starting small. Many people fail because they try to change everything at once, but the easier a habit is to begin, the more likely it is to continue. Even a very small action can build momentum. James Clear called this the 2-minute rule. A new habit should take less than 2 minutes to start. The goal is not instant transformation. The goal is simply learning the habit of showing up. Once showing up becomes automatic, improvement becomes easier. Consistency slowly leads to growth. At first, the results of new habits may feel invisible. Progress can take time before it becomes noticeable, but just like a seed growing underground, change is happening quietly. Eventually, the results begin to appear. This is why patience is so important. The most meaningful results often appear later. The people around us also influence our habits more than we realize. Humans naturally adopt the behaviors of the groups around them. If the people around you value learning, reading becomes more natural. If they prioritize health, Exercising becomes more normal. Our community quietly shapes our behavior. Surrounding yourself with supportive people makes habits easier to maintain. Toward the end of the book, the author explains something very important. Habits can become automatic over time. When behaviors become automatic, improvement can sometimes slow down. This happens because we stop paying attention. To continue growing, we must occasionally reflect on our habits. Awareness helps us refine and improve them. One of the most memorable ideas from the book captures the entire philosophy beautifully. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. In other words, success is rarely created by motivation alone. It is created by the habits we repeat every day. When systems improve, results follow naturally. Change becomes steady and sustainable. Looking at the ideas from Atomic Habits, one thing becomes clear. Real transformation rarely happens through sudden breakthroughs. Instead, it grows through small actions repeated consistently. Tiny habits slowly shape identity, and identity shapes behavior. Behavior repeated daily shapes the direction of our lives. Over time, those small habits define who we become. The encouraging part of this philosophy is that change does not require dramatic effort. You do not need to transform everything overnight. All it takes is one small habit repeated consistently. A tiny action practiced every day can reshape your future. So perhaps the most important question is simple. What small habit could you begin today? Maybe it is reading a few pages each morning. Maybe it is writing a single paragraph. Maybe it is taking a short walk or pausing for a moment of reflection. Whatever it is, the power lies in consistency. The habits you repeat today slowly shape the person you become tomorrow, and sometimes the smallest actions create the greatest transformations. If these ideas resonated with you, it may be worth exploring the full book Atomic Habits by James Clear. The original book offers deeper explanations and many inspiring examples. Sometimes a single book changes the way we see everyday life, and sometimes it quietly changes the habits that shape our future.